Blog Talk Radio.
Warning, the following program may include profane language, controversial viewpoints, and perspectives on the true nature of reality so far removed from the status quo, they'll make your head spin like a top. Young children, corporate executives, and religious fundamentalists should turn away now.
Good evening, planet Earth, and welcome to a special edition of Extraordinary Year. My name is Tim Bravo, and tonight, 259 days until December 21st, 2012, I'm going to be talking with a man by the name of Tolec. This is going to require a bit of a tightrope act. I'm going to try and keep from leaving our loyal listeners in the dust, while at the same time understanding that Tolec brings with him a considerable number of listeners who are already well acquainted with him and the work and messages of his intergalactic friends. So for the few of you out there who don't yet know of Tolec, he's a human being from our planet who just so happens to also be a contactee and representative of the Andromeda Council. That's an intergalactic governance and development body of aligned, benevolent star systems and planets from both the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies. The chaired members of the Andromeda Council comprise a total of 12 distinct representative member races from 12 different worlds. They're comprised of some third-dimensional people like us, but mostly fourth, fifth, and even some sixth-dimensional people. Think of it as a sort of intergalactic United Nations. He's been given the name Tolec, which is simply a public persona work name, by the 5 people with whom he communicates, who are stationed on the primary Andromeda Council biosphere, where many of its meetings are held. Tolec says he was first physically contacted in 1993 by his principal Andromedan contact, a commander from the planet Dakota, who took him on 3 closely clustered together but separate time travel trips via an Andromedan scout craft back in time to the 1840s to an area of rural Kentucky or West Virginia in the United States to observe a family of 4 in their day-to-day life struggles. Tolec's Andromeda Council contacts indicate they've been in touch with him by various methods since age 5. His physical Andromeda contacts ended after his 1993 time travel experience until the same commander contacted him again in September of 2010. Tolec says communication with his Andromeda Council contacts happens a number of different ways. 1, by telepathic communication. 2, through communication in the dream state. 3, in visions both in the dream state and wide awake, fully conscious. 4, through automatic writing. And 5, through interdimensional travel of his soul essence to Andromeda Council biospheres, where many council and subcommittee meetings are held. His Andromeda Council contacts indicate it currently has a number of biospheres, which are large planetoid spacecraft stationed around Earth. These biospheres are complete living and working environments. The primary Andromeda Council biosphere that he visits, and where he attends many of the Council's subcommittee and advisory board meetings, is about the size of Pluto. He says it has 26 stories, is powered by a crystalline fusion generator, has an executive staff of 15 officers, plus a crew of 50,000 and their families. Apparently, this one biosphere can hold upward of 2 million people at full capacity. Tolec, welcome to the show, brother.
Tim, that's quite an intro. Thank you. I appreciate it. And in the words of our relatives, Pila Maya Yelo. Lakota, thank you.
Thanks. Well, now, tonight is special because Tolec has told me he has some very special news to share with all of you tonight. The title of tonight's show is The End of the Space War, and I've gotten a short glimpse of what he means by that. And I have to say I'm honored you've chosen to bring this forward on Extraordinary Year. We're going to do an hour and a half tonight, but before we get going, I want to ask listeners to be patient. We will open up the phone lines later in the show. If you have questions, the number to call is on the episode page. It's 858-956-2147. You can also hop into the chat room where about 100 of you are now and post questions and talk amongst yourselves. So without any further blabbering from me, I'm just going to let you get to it, Tolec. What's the dish, man?
Okay. All righty, here we go. The first thing I'll do, Tim, is I'll tell you and our listeners what I'm about to tell you. So here's the elevator ride version. I'm going to share with you the complete story of the search for and the finding of the final undersea Draco and Hydra Reptilian base. I will tell you and your listeners about the buildings, all the structures that they found, how big it was, and I'll also go through the details of who they found, what people they found in this structure. And before I do that, I'd like to ask for everybody's patience because I've touched on this story a couple of times before, but I've always done it somewhat with brevity because we were looking at 70 or 100 plus callers on the phone with immediate questions, so we kind of rushed through it. This time I'm going to take the time necessary to get into some of the details, so I'll ask for your patience. Before I start speaking, I want to address an issue that I believe is important to me, and it's really in the form of a disclaimer. And because I want it to have the impact that I believe it needs, I'll just take the time and read it slowly. It's on, by the way, it's on the top of page 5 of the Andromeda Council website at the frequently asked questions page, but I'm going to provide it now ahead of time before I start any of this because it's important. To all of the people following the David Wilcock and Benjamin Fulford reports, many people have written to me some form of this question. Tolec, what about the David Wilcock and Benjamin Fulford statements that have been made regarding imminent mass arrests of the Cabal Illuminati? What do you and what does the Andromeda Council know about this? Here's my answer. Yes, globally I am aware of the David Wilcock and Benjamin Fulford statements that have made regarding the imminent mass arrests of the Cabal Illuminati. But this is as much as I know. For the record, I have specifically stayed away from and not listened to or read the details of this matter for a few reasons, but primarily because I do not want what I am learning from my Andromeda Council contacts to be in any way, shape, or manner possibly or potentially contaminated by outside sources. This matter is all about my credibility and integrity as an independent, uninfluenced, reliable source of Andromeda Council information. I have also stayed away from the details of this specific story because of what I am currently releasing and will release tonight about the clearing out of the final Draco and Hydra Reptilian undersea base complex. Further, unlike David Wilcock and Mr. Fulford, I have no way of knowing. I've got no insider contacts from which to learn about what any Earth or land-based authorities are doing or will do with regard to Earth land-based arrests of Cabal Illuminati suspects or criminals. All of my information is from and is based on my own personal ongoing contacts regarding my knowledge and or activities of the Andromeda Council, including the people of Procyon. Taking all this into consideration, do I think or feel the above activities are related? Yes, I do. That is my disclaimer, and I stand by it. Like I said, I felt like it was important enough to read because there are a lot of people who imagine things. There are a lot of people who make assumptions without knowing the facts of any given situation, and I wanted them to know the facts. So here's what I've learned, and I'll dive into the story, and I'll pace it as at a medium pace and touch on the details as well. The final undersea reptilian base, the one run by the Draco and Hydra reptilians underneath the ocean on this planet. The search for that base was begun on March the 9th. They actually found it, the people from Procyon, combined with some other Andromeda Council team members, they actually found it on March 16th. It took that long to find it because, among other many fourth dimensional beings that have a whole bunch of technology at their disposal, they being the reptilians, have some really good holographic technology. And they had a pretty large hologram covering the ocean ridge and basin where this undersea base was located. so they couldn't see it. They couldn't plainly see it because it wasn't distinguishable. It looked like the rest of the ocean ridge and the basin around it. After X number of days on March 16, they finally found it, identified it, in a manner of speaking, busted through the front door. That was really difficult because once they found it, they discovered a quarter-mile thick, I'm going to borrow from a science fiction term, they found a quarter-mile thick energy force field protecting this large base complex. Huh. So they pounded on that thing enough, finally busted through, and the they is 75 Delta Strike Force kind of guys from Procyon and 25 direct Andromeda Council Special Force team members that were working together. So you got 100 Strike Force guys that were going after this base with whatever ships they're using. Now I'll describe the buildings in terms of what they found. Most people are really visual. Think of, in the old West, a wagon wheel. So you have a large hub with spokes. This large base complex was in the shape of a wagon wheel with a large center hub, 10 floors, 10 stories high, about 100 feet in height, and approximately 50 to 60 feet in diameter. Now, before I continue, I'm going to qualify all of this by saying, how do I know all of these details? Well, the answer is, as I talk to the commander, he and I are talking telepathically, mind to mind, my mind, his mind to my mind. Simultaneously, he's also showing me the images of what they found, of what these guys saw as they were breaking into this base. So they're not real-time images, but I'm getting images of what they saw undersea in the water. So you have this base complex, hub and spoke. The hub is 10 floors, 100 feet high, 50 to 60 feet in diameter. The spokes, if you will, are 6 electronic transport tunnels or transport tubes, if you will. Each of those transport tubes is about a quarter-mile long in length, of course, traveling outward from the center of the hub. At the end of each transport tube is 3 separate buildings of 6 floors each. So if you're looking at 6 transport tubes, spokes, 3 separate buildings, now you're looking at 18 buildings in total that all needed to be completely searched. In addition to the 3 buildings found at the end of each spoke, 18 in total, they also found 2 smaller survival pods. Now here's a smaller kind of reference. Those survival pods, each one of them, were 95 feet in diameter and 3 stories, 3 floors each. And they're each self-contained, provisions, sleeping, a greenhouse to grow plants, water. You get the idea. So with this many number of survival pods, they could, if they were able, save 3,600 reptilian people out of this whole base. I'll go back to the hub for a moment. The hub operation is where they ran their military ops out of, all operations for the complex, administration, support workers. You get the idea. It's kind of like a corporate complex. What did they find, or rather, who did they find in terms of people in this base complex? And actually, before I jump ahead to the topic of people, Tim, do you have any questions about the things I just reviewed?
Yeah, actually, one question I have is, did any of the crew from the Reptilian base make it out in the pods before the strike force got in?
No,
Okay.
They didn't. They didn't, and they didn't because the operation on the part of the guys from Procyon and Andromeda Council was very, very much a stealth operation. You got 100 guys, just a few smaller ships running stealth. Very, very, very stealth operation, and the reason is because, well, there's a few reasons. One is this was the very last Draco and Hydra Reptilian-run undersea base on the planet. Massive complex. There's nowhere else for them to go. So
Yay.
You don't want to go. Yeah, that's good news. The bad news is you don't want to advertise you're coming. you don't want to go in there guns blazing, blasting stuff, because if you do that, they're gonna know about you somehow. Especially higher dimensional beings, their telepathy is a natural skill that they have. So this thing had to be run really stealth. So it was run stealth, and they were successful in attacking, capturing, and or eliminating some of the reptilian beings they found in the base. But in this particular base, nobody had escaped. There were some escapees from some of the other bases, but guess where they ran? This base. They actually ran to the base that was in the southeast Bay of Bengal, the one I call the pencil-shaped base. They ran there first because we hit a few others before that. And then after we took that base out, they came to this one because it was the last one, so there's nowhere else for them to go.
And then I suppose you're going to tell us what happened to the folks who were in there.
Right, that's next.
Okay.
I can tell you, all right, here we go. Numbers. The people from Procyon and the Andromeda Council team members found, and keep in mind, this base, in terms of people, was bigger than I thought, in terms of personnel. They found 10,000 plus reptilians in this undersea base complex. Of the 10,000 plus, I'm now going to give a breakdown. 2,000 reptilian warrior soldiers, all high-ranking officers. 5,000 support staff working in various operations of the base. 3,000 combined Cabal, Illuminati, top key officials, middle management, administrators, and lower-end soldiers. 2,000 of these 3,000 Cabal and Illuminati were genetically blended and created reptilian human hybrids. Now I'm going to stop for a moment and at least describe this. I'll give the elevator ride version of this. I'll just speak for myself. When I speak of reptilian human hybrids, I'm talking about beings that were created from a pool of original organic genetic reptilian DNA and human DNA that they have on stock. And so essentially they put the two in a petri dish, they grow them in a nutrient solution, and when they're done, they're birthed, and they kind of look like age 19 or 20, but they are human-looking with reptilian features. All right?
Okay.
So continuing. Of the many other reptilian officials that the people from Procyon captured were 50 top key Cabal Illuminati reptilian hybrid officials. We're talking about the top of the food chain, the guys that are giving the orders to the human folks on land in the tops of the different power and government structures. Again, keep in mind, right now I'm talking about all reptilian human hybrids that are in this base, that are at the top of this power structure, giving you orders to, if you will, what people call the puppets, the guys who are in seats of quote-unquote governments. They also found 100 key Cabal Illuminati reptilian human hybrid administrators, guys who got their work done, day-to-day guys. So you've got 10,000 plus reptilians. I just gave everybody a breakdown. I'm aware of the fact that 8,000 of these, and I'm going to speak globally now, 8,000 of these reptilian beings, most of the support workers chose relocation to go through the Stargate to the far edge of the universe. And as is a typical process and a protocol, the people from the Andromeda Council offer them the pretty much two choices. Either choose relocation to go to this planet at the far edge of the universe, and you're going to be there for the rest of your lives. There's basically a gate code. Y'all can't get back to Earth. It's not going to happen. Or you can be captured and go to the Andromeda Council biosphere for trial. And there were 8,000 of these people to choose to continue their lives in this new planet, at the far edge of the universe.
So you're saying that 8,000 of the 10,000 chose to just go ahead and be flung out into the far reaches of the cosmos rather than be tried.
Right, and these 8,000 of them, these 8,000 of them, they were mostly support workers. Okay, operations guys that work at their station every single day, admin guys, engineers, scientists, guys that work for a living, if you will. The majority of the 2,000 plus that got transferred to the Andromeda Council biosphere were the high-level officers, military officers, and high-level Cabal and Illuminati officials. Those are the guys that are, the most arrogant, are used to having the most power. And of those people at the top, two were reptilian officers, what we on Earth would call one being a 5-star general and the other being a 2-star general. And again, the majority of these reptilian warrior soldiers, both the officers as well as Cabal Illuminati officials, reptilian-human hybrid mix, they are being held right now in the primary Andromeda Council biosphere for military debriefing and trial. And I'm pretty much going to read a statement. The commander of the primary Andromeda Council biosphere said, "We of the Andromeda Council are providing this assistance to put them through the Council's judicial system until the until the Joint Earth Council is established and a war crimes tribunal. A war crimes tribunal is established within that body that can try beings like these who have committed multiple atrocities against the people of Earth." So those 2,000 plus reptilian, Draco and Hydra reptilian military officers, as well as Cabal Illuminati officials, are up in the biosphere and locked down awaiting trial. Now, I've got another section to address regarding people, but before I do that, do you have any questions given all the stuff I just covered?
Well, I'm going to say that I know you don't pay attention to Wilcock and Fulford and what they've said, but this war crimes tribunal that you just mentioned kind of fits in with the things that they've been saying, because, of course, I'm going to keep track of that. And not just that, but messages from the global or the Galactic Federation of Light from various sources. That fits in with the big picture that's coming around from myriad sources. So that's very interesting. That's all I've got.
All right. I'll take your word for it. That statement that I read at the very beginning of me talking is literal. I mean, other than, yes, I'm aware of the fact that, and I'm going to paraphrase now, global mass arrests are imminent of Cabal and Illuminati officials. You got it. That's as much as I know. I have stayed away from that topic because of what I'm talking about right now. I can't afford to allow any information to bleed through because it would affect my credibility, and that's all I've got. That's really so. Thanks for confirming the fact that the information is consistent. That's good to know. Regarding people, and this one's tough to talk about, so I'll take it slowly. Unfortunately, in addition, the people from Procyon and the 25 guys from the mixed races of the Andromeda Council, in going through the base, building through building, they also discovered about 1,000 Earth humans. We're talking about people that were abducted, taken, whatever word you want to use, the majority of whom were taken against their will, many of whom can certainly be known as missing people, missing persons. Some of these, I understand that some of these people have been up there half or 2/3 of their lives, and they've been tortured, they've been implanted, they've been programmed by either their reptilian bosses or gray helpers who work for the Draco and Hydra reptilians running this base. Many were outright slaves. Know that there were implants put into these people that had very intense pain-producing frequencies for any time the humans didn't obey their reptilian captors. So these people have been, wow, the only word I can think of is rescued. They've been transported to the Primary Andromeda Council biosphere for psychological debriefing, deprogramming. There are 6 Andromeda Council hospital ships isn't the right word, but that's the best analogy that I can think of. There's 6 of them that are used for psychological, emotional, energetic, and physical healing trauma, and especially for these people who've been severely tortured and abused. Azar, the chief medical officer of all the biospheres, said it's going to take at least a month and a half, 2 months of Earth time to help these 1,000 people to go through the healing process. And the healing process, they use different frequencies of sound, different frequencies of light, different frequencies of energy, vibration, as well as psychological, emotional counselors to help them come through this process to get these people so they can have a normal life again. And if they're up there, if they decide that going back to Earth, they being the people who've been emotionally and physically traumatized and damaged, if they feel like they want to stay in the biosphere and work in space, they certainly have a home there if they want to stay. Certainly that could be the case for people that are single or maybe were married and their spouse has moved on. I don't know, but there can be scenarios for that. And certainly for the people that have families back on Earth, they can come back anytime they want to, and certainly as soon as they're healthy and kind of right-sized again.
I hate to interrupt, but I feel horrible hearing about these poor people who were taken from their lives and then, traded their lives in for years or even decades of trauma, it sounds like.
Yes.
I mean, I just feel for their souls. But the vibrational therapy that you described that they're receiving on the ships reminds me of Atlantean methods of healing that Edgar Casey talked about. So just another point of, I hate to say validation, but just another point of reference where that kind of fits into the big picture, for me anyway.
Okay, yeah, the modalities that I spoke about are typical healing modalities for people that live in the 4th dimension, and or simply speaking, for 4th dimensional people. But fortunately, those kind of modalities also do a great job healing human people because we are etheric, biological beings as well that have we have electrical signals running through us. And when you think about the kind of torture and abuse that happened, that abuse, I didn't get specific about this, but those implants are in the brain. They're actually in the human brain. So you've got some serious damage to the human, and I'm not at all a scientist, but the human brain circuitry, as well as emotional damage. So there's all sorts of ways that energetic sound, light, and frequency healing can be of benefit. And of course, they also have 3-dimensional healing technologies that we don't have here down on Earth. I mean, and if we don't see them in the hospitals, that's for sure. I'm ready to move on to one final part of what they found in the base. But if you have any more questions about any of the people they found, reptilian and human, go ahead and jump in and ask.
I don't, personally.
Okay.
And if anybody else out there does have questions along those lines, maybe we can get them in when we do open up the phone lines.
Yes. Yep. Okay. In the last few days, I'm going to back up for a moment. So they start looking for the base on March 9th. They finally find it and break through on March 16th. They go through each of the buildings, hand-to-hand combat, weapons fire, three-dimensional bodies, of course, are killed in the process. I will say that of the team of 100 from the Andromeda Council, 10 guys took injuries, and they were transported to the biosphere for whatever healing was needed. They're okay. They're doing fine. So there were no death casualties, but 10 guys got injured, so that was good. In the latter days, 25th, 6th, 7th, somewhere through there, they were getting to, now again, I'm going to refer everybody to this base complex as a wagon wheel with a hub. Also think of it as a round clock face. There would also be radial spokes, radial spokes going all around this thing. And somewhere between radial spokes, I'm speaking metaphorically, but people will get it, between like 9 and 11 o'clock, they're going, 3 buildings, 2 pods, 3 buildings, 2 pods, 3 buildings, 2 pods, 3 buildings, 2 pods. Hey, wait a second. What's this one building hanging out here? And that was kind of an attachment in between. It was off of radial transport tube number 9, between 9 and 11. There was this one building that they found, and I want people to think of it sort of essentially as like a round circular warehouse and hangar, scout craft hangar. It was also, to speak in Earth terms, it was a repair shop. It was a repair shop for engine work. Size-wise, think of it like the size of a large commercial or Air Force jet hangar bay, but round, because scout crafts are predominantly round. So they find scout crafts. They also find 30 nuclear fusion generators. And the guys that are the engineers of this bunch look at each other and they go, oh, geez. So they find 30 nuclear fusion generators, all operable. There were 3 different sizes, large, medium, and small. There were 5 large ones that were used to power the various buildings throughout the base complex. There were 10 medium-sized ones for city-size starships. We're talking big ships.
Okay.
And 15 smaller replacement generators for Reptilian scout craft. Now, of course, these nuclear fusion generators, these power systems, they're self-contained, but they're still highly radioactive and dangerous. And this is the part that gave me, I got the shivers when the commander of the biosphere was telling me this part. He says, if they had just gone in there, guns blazing, and blown this complex up, if they were to collectively explode these generators, he said it would have caused a complete collapse to the whole eastern seaboard. It would not have been a good thing at all. And something needed to be done. Yeah, it needed to be done. It needed to be done carefully. So they extracted each generator on a per shuttle mission basis, 1 generator at a time. So they get 30 generators up on the Andromeda Council biosphere in the engineering bay, and the guys are separating and I don't know how this is possible, but they said it is, they were separating the contaminated, all the radioactive componentry away from the non-radioactive components. Okay. All right, and that's
what will they do with that material when they're done with it?
Well, the radioactive material, they have a way of cleanly destroying. Quite honestly, I didn't ask exactly what that is, but since their technology is way ahead of ours, they didn't have any problem with dealing with it up in space. They didn't want to risk dealing with it down in the ocean and causing either a really serious catastrophic explosion or nuclear radiation leakage all over the place. So they get the
our ecology is challenged enough. And we don't need the reptilians fusion technology messing up the oceans. We got BP.
No. Yeah, it's bad enough. So they get to finish that process. They get all 30 fusion generators out of there, and then they get out there, for lack of a better word, because I don't know what they call them, but they get out their version of a Geiger counter, and it's like this thing's going off, and I'm like, oh brother. So they had to clean up the mess and collect whatever radioactive stuff was laying around, contain it, ship that out. They neutralized the whole area because they have a process to do that. So they neutralized that whole hangar base. So now there's no radioactivity in that whole building. And the whole base complex is shut down, empty, kaput, done, finished, everything but destroyed. And sometime in the near future, I don't know exactly when, but sometime in the near future, they are going to, they being the people of the Andromeda Council, they are going to coincide the destruction of the base with a pretty significant cosmic event. And all it told me is that the cosmic event that will happen on this planet will be so unique and so out of the norm that people are used to, that they're going to know something's up. They're going to know something is definitely different. The other thing that they'll do is once that base is destroyed, they're going to follow through as promised and manifest an 8 to 10 foot crystal blue sphere. Some people call them light balls of energy. Other people call them orbs. But it will be viewable from out in the ocean and off of a coastline. So that is the whole story. And before anybody asks, I'm just going to say this up front. The nature of this base, the sensitive nature of this base in terms of its size, what they found, who they found, but more specifically, its location, is of such strategic nature. I can't say it and I won't say it, and I'm not going to identify the location of this base.
There goes my next question.
yeah. And if people ask me questions, I'm going to warmly and kindly say, I can't answer you, no comment. I just can't. I can't,
Can you
I won't.
be more specific about the cosmic event? Like, is there something that people can watch for?
Okay. It will be, I can say this, it will be an earthquake event.
Oh.
It will be it will be an earthquake event, but it will be so out of the norm of what people expect. People are going to go, huh?
Okay.
That here? How? That's the kind of, I'm speaking kind of off the cuff, but that's the kind of response that people are going to have. And apparently it's, because a lot of this that they give me, they're looking down the timeline, so they've already seen what happened, and they said, this is how people are going to respond. It's going to be this sort of incredulous, this doesn't make any sense. It just, we don't get it. Something's going on here. That will be the collective response, and of course, then there will be the sphere, the orb that will be kind of hovering over the water for a few hours, and then they'll make it go away. But that's the whole report. I'm happy to take questions from you or anybody else about anything that I know, but I won't talk about the location. Ain't gonna do it.
That's fine.
So,
that's fine.
Onward.
Well, and I encourage everybody out there listening to, if you're on the coast, for the love of all that is divine, make sure you've got a camcorder or a phone that'll record video or at least good pictures handy, because it might be you who gets to see that orb. And is there indication, looking down the timeline, not only is that orb going to be there, but that visuals of this will reach the world?
I think that if visuals of the orb reach the world, it'll be because people are doing the same thing they're doing today. You know, I'm Janet or I'm Phil. Hey, look, I've got my video camera. Look, what is that up in the sky? And then it gets posted to YouTube or somewhere on the web, and it gets circulated around the world. You know, whether you're in I don't know, Brazil or Russia or the U.S. or Canada or Puerto Rico or anywhere. I mean, people have such access to the web and YouTube these days. It's amazing how fast stuff gets posted. But that's likely how people would get global access to the look of this crystal blue orb.
Okay.
That's my best answer.
I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. We've got several callers on hold here, so I'm going to take 603. Yeah.
You're a brave man.
Hey, you're the one who has to deal with it. 603, you're on the air.
Namaste, my dear brothers of light, and it is indeed my honor and pleasure to be on air with both of you.
As well, you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, those of us, as you know, that are conscious starseeds, that are aware of some of our high dimensional aspects that are working on the ships and so forth, when do you see those of us that are other conscious starseeds that are receiving our training in our dream state, that are coming more into our conscious awareness, stepping up to the plate for the next step in our work with the collective humanity in a far more direct and respected way with our galactic family and, of course, our own higher dimensional aspects of our own soul's expression that are working on the ships?
Wow. Thanks. That's a really good question. And quite honestly, it's a question I haven't been asked before. Right now, the only way I have the ability to answer it is the following. Sometime this spring, 3 people, Ambassador Tonka, who's the ambassador to the U.S., but more specifically to all of the Native American people west of the Mississippi River in the U.S., Diplomat Maka Mihiwe, and Vice Chairwoman Tanya, they will, sometime this spring, they will start to speak around the globe to let people of Earth know when the people from the 4 planets of the Andromeda Council will start visiting. That's about, now what I just said is about acknowledging who we are, what our future is going to look like, how the rest of this transition is going to unfold. But, you know, in terms of us becoming 4th dimensional people, ergo etheric people, that event, I've told, is only going to happen on January 2014. Now, I'm only able to speak for what I know and what I've learned from my contacts with the Andromeda Council. But if there are other star systems, like people say, oh, I'm being contacted from beings from Solaris, the star system Solaris, or I'm being contacted from people from the star system of Sirius, and so on, it's likely that their original soul and their original spirit essence is from that star system. I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one, but I have no way of knowing when those people are going to contact all their starseeds and say, hey, come on, it's time, come work with us. I honestly don't know, A, because I haven't asked, and B, my sense tells me that it'll likely happen once January 2014 hits, and anybody that's still on planet Earth becomes 4th dimensional. We essentially become etheric, fine matter beings instead of physical, organic, gross matter beings. That's the most answer I can give you, if that helps. I don't know if it helps, but that's my best answer.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I'm also a Blog Talk Radio host as well for a few years, And I just love shows like this where we are really getting the truth out there, really getting the information out there to really awaken and inform the collective humanity to what's really going on, and to be aware and to maybe be more perceptive to what is going on around them that they may not notice prior to being on the show. Because as you know, it's more than just the spoken words, it's the energy that the Dominant Council is channeling through you and through all the listeners here, especially those of us that are conscious starseeds, are receiving major downloads directly from them, of which I am very appreciative to them for that.
Yeah. Oh, you're very accurate. I'm very blessed that they decided to choose me to do this work. I honestly don't know how to channel, but the people that I deal with on an almost daily basis, they are maybe fourth dimensional humans, but they are exceedingly kind, they are warm, and they are always forthcoming whenever I have questions. They always answer all my questions openly. So as I and other people like to say, we've got some really good help from upstairs. So thanks for your questions and your comments. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and I'm sure I'll be talking with both of you very soon. Love, light, and blessings to all.
Namaste, brother.
You too.
Namaste.
So, yeah, those are interesting questions. About your contacts, and a lot of the people on hold and in the chat room have you've probably covered these things. For myself and my regular listeners, I just want to ask a couple quick questions about your contacts, about the Andromedan Council folk, if I might.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Dealing with physical appearance. Now, I listened to your recent, I forget which show you did it on, but you talked about the origin story given to you by Tankawene, I believe, for the Dakota, Lakota and Nakota. And how they came from the planet Dakota. I wanted to ask, is their physical appearance, how related to the Dakota people are they? Is it, I mean, because, most Native Americans across Grandmother Turtle Island, across our great nation, look fairly similar. Lakota, I wouldn't say stand out so much. Do the people from Dakota look like Native Americans, or are there just a few traits that have made their way through all these millennia?
No. I mean, it's a relevant question, but Tim, very much. Very, very much. Tonka looks like a tall, wise, noble Native American, if you will, chief or leader. But, actually, he would be more considered a holy man. At times they call him medicine man, but his role, at least on Earth, would be that of a Native American holy man. Yes, absolutely. Someone who is in touch with Midakuye Oyasin. We are all of our relatives. We are all related. Well, these are Wichapi Oyate. He is chills. He is a star person. His predominant human form vibrates at the fourth dimension. But what does he look like? He looks like a very noble, wise Native American holy man. The only thing is, he's tall. He's about 7'2".
Wow.
About 7'2", and that's consistent with fourth dimensional sizing. The women are about 6'2", 6'4" height on average. The men go to about as tall as 7'8", 7'9", rarely 8 feet, but somewhere through there. But the simple answer is yes. The people from Dakota very much look Native American as we would expect them to look.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, there is a different ambassador for all of the Native American people east of the Mississippi. And I haven't talked to him yet. I don't know who he is. But he's real. Yeah, he's real.
What about clothing
Yep,
across the Andromeda Council? I mean, is there a uniform?
What I see is pretty simple so far. When they're working on the Andromeda Council biosphere, and they're working, which is a lot, they have these one piece suits. They're not exciting at all. But do they have casual clothes that they slip into after work? Yeah, they sure do. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But when they're working, they have these one piece suits. Anybody watching any of the sci-fi shows, anywhere from Stargate to Star Trek, they would all be familiar with these one piece outer space work suits.
Okay, yeah. I'm getting a visual.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and take another call here. Let's see. It looks like we've got a couple people from Wichita. I'm going to jump outside the box here. For listeners, the show is based out of Wichita, Kansas. So I'm going to jump outside the box and pick something from a more exotic location. Let's find out who is out in 716. 716, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. Hi, Tim, and hi, Tolec. This is Bob Challenger. And my question to Tolec is, I know there's apparently other people like you on our planet that's acting in a similar capacity with the Andromeda Council, people like Alex Collier. How many individuals like that are on the planet with you?
Okay. Good question. I am aware of 6 other people in 6 countries around the globe, 6 different countries, that are in some state of awakening. They may be awakened to the degree that they're aware of extraterrestrial people, Andromeda people, interdimensional people, but so far they haven't connected the dots yet to understand that they can, and sometime in the future will be able to work in the same kind of capacity that I am. So at least 6 others in different countries.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah,
that was
good
easy.
question, Bob.
That was easy.
Okay, so I'm going to go to 913. That's kind of close to home. 913, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hi. I didn't mean to ask a question. I was just listening in.
Oh, okay. Well, did you have something off the top of your head?
Oh, well, gosh. I'm sorry. I just arrived at an airport. I'm looking for someone. I didn't mean to get in here.
Well, that's fine. Well, thank you for listening in, and we'll move along.
Yeah, enjoy.
I just want to say this is amazing. Thank you, Tolec, for describing this. It really helps to make us feel like we're not idiots. Okay? This is great.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, this stuff is actually going on. That's the strange thing. It's real.
Well, thank you for making it seem real. All right? Thanks.
So 913, there's your serendipitous chance to express some gratitude for Tolec, and thanks for your call. Okay, 513, area code 513, you're on the air.
Hello?
You might turn on your radio.
Hi. Hi, Tolec. This is fascinating to me. I'm a recovering electrical and software engineer myself who is really fascinated by extra-dimensional beings and that possibility. And I guess my question is, when, fourth-dimensional and higher-dimensional beings, do they appear to us as three-dimensional beings, or is just vibrating in a higher level frequency field? Or
if you were able to, I'll use a metaphor. Let's say that you had a pair of glasses with some really unique technology. You put these glasses on and you could see the people whom I'm communicating with. They're human. They are human, except that they vibrate at the next vibrational level beyond the third, which is the fourth. They're all human. All the people I deal with are human. What I've also learned is that, for the sake of an explanation, the human or humanoid physical form is the most predominant across the cosmos. And by that I mean head, eyes, ears, shoulders, torso, arms, legs, hands, feet. It's a genesis life form that, from what I understand, not only comes from human seed, but also comes from others as well. Like, as an example, reptilian. Reptilians have a head, and they have eyes and ears and arms and legs, and so. But the guys I talk to, they're human. They, if they were walking down the street and 5'8" or 6'2", you'd just say, "Oh wow, what a good-looking Native American guy." That's about the only thing you'd think.
Well, that's
my answer.
We've got an international call. I'm not quite sure how to call this out, but I'm guessing country code 5. You're on the air, our international caller. You're our only one, so if you're international and you're listening, you're on the air.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, from Brazil.
From Brazil? Well, thanks for listening in tonight. What, you have a question?
I'm quite of a fan. So, first of all, sorry for my ESL English, okay?
No problema, hermano.
Well, I'd like to know from Tolec, which I'm very honored to chat. As far as I know, we are 25 billion souls on planet Earth, and only 7 billion souls incarnated. So in this big shift that we are about to have in this next couple of years, what's about to happen to this other 18 billion guys that surround us in different levels of frequencies?
Quite honestly, well, first of all, thank you for your question. Thanks for calling in from Brazil. If you don't want to incur a high telephone expense, feel free to jump off, and I'll answer the question.
No problem.
Okay. This is the first time I've ever heard this said this way, but I anticipate what you may be talking about is the fact that we have three-dimensional people. I'll use this term. So people that are human, they're born, they live their lives, they die, their three-dimensional organic bodies die. You're probably talking about many more people who are already higher dimensional. They're already in the fourth or the fifth or the sixth that are maybe watching over friends or loved ones or helping to urge people on or guiding them. Those people are going to evolve at whatever pace they're going to evolve at. I have no way of knowing how each person will evolve and when they choose to go to the fifth or when they choose to go to the sixth or the seventh. That's based on each person's life experiences and their choices. But this solar system and this planet is raising in vibration, and the minimum level is going to be fourth dimensional, January 2014. So anybody above that, they're not going to get affected by fourth dimensional energy because they're probably fourth and up already anyway. So that's the best answer I can give you.
Okay, thank you, Tolec. I will try to investigate a little bit more from that, and I get in touch in your email if I have some other different views, okay?
Okay, obrigado.
Okay, well, by the way, my name is Alex, okay?
Thank you, Alex.
Mucho gusto, Alex. Thank you for your call.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break from calls because I had some questions. One quick question, and then we'll get back to callers. You've told us what has just happened, and you've told us kind of what's next. And it sounds to me as though, 2012, as far as you've been told, is not really the end. It's the beginning of the change, not the complete change, and that things will continue to unfold for the next couple of years. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Okay.
2012 is definitely, at least based on everything I've been told by my Andromeda Council contacts, 2012 is a big transition year. 2013, early through mid 2013, is big transition year, with most of the big events happening tapering off, like in the late autumn of 13. The time of, if you will, flipping the switch when the planet becomes fourth dimensional is January of 14. So we're looking at, the rest of 12 and all of 13 as big transition years. Okay.
Well, that clears it up for me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to area code 514. I don't think we've taken that one. 514, you're on the air.
Oh, hello. Thank you very much. And hello, Tolec. And, thank you to the Andromedan people and how Mitakuyepi, I think that's how you greet in Lakota, for the Lakota wisdom elder that we all, even non-native people, we all need his counseling so much. Anyways, I wanted to ask you, in the last base that was taken and captured, destroyed or whatever, you mentioned something like 2,000 Illuminati people and Cabal people. In general, I always thought of the Illuminati as the humans running the corporations, or the dark, the shadow government. Those Illuminati and Cabal people, were they human people? That's one question. And then after those 2,000 are tried in the Andromeda Council, trial base or whatever it's called, there's going to be a second trial in this joint Andromeda Council and Earth tribunal after the change has happened. And then anyways, I have a third question about the other federation, but I'll let you answer those two first, if you don't mind.
I'm going to. All right. I covered this at length in the first hour, but I'll address your question.
Okay. I listened to it, but I did not understand about the Illuminati specifically.
Yeah. All right. Let me answer. The Cabal Illuminati officials, not military officers of the Reptilians, but the 3,000 Cabal Illuminati officials, because 2,000 of them are still alive and up on the Andromeda Council biosphere, they are human reptilian hybrids, or rather reptilian-human hybrids. They were created in petri dishes. They are if you will, a worker class, a high class, but a worker class of the reptilian race. They are, for lack of better words, reptilian employed. I'm not at all talking about humans at corporations or at high levels of power in governments. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that were taken from the Undersea base that are part of the reptilian hierarchy, the reptilian class system that are on the reptilian side of things that were running everything. And therefore, they are being tried up in the Andromeda Council biosphere as blended human reptilian people who are going to be tried for war crimes against the people of Earth. But they are, if you were to classify them, they're reptilians.
Okay.
That's
the second question was, will there be a second tribunal once we've gotten together with our Andromedan friends?
You know what? I honestly don't know. And I don't know because a lot of this information, it's very much like the way I live my life. I'm dealing with information that's coming in either 1 hour at a time or 1 day at a time. So I'm not looking that far into the future, but I do know that sometime in the not too distant future, after the Earth changes, there will be, and if you will, an extended hand of friendship, and the Earth will be able to form its own joint Earth Council. And that is where Earth's tribunal will be.
And the justice needs to be ours, so I don't know that, I mean...
That's right. That's right.
It needs to come from us, right?
Well, that's right, and that's why I was speaking very pointedly about making the differentiation between the fact that, almost take a piece of paper and put a dividing line in the middle. I am not able to talk about any of the Cabal Illuminati human people that everybody else, including David Wilcock and Benjamin Fulford, are talking about. That's not my area of expertise. I don't know about them. I'm talking about reptilians working within the reptilian class system that are Cabal Illuminati officials pulling the strings from the top. Those are the guys that were taken prisoner. Those are the guys that up on Andromeda Council biosphere. If you will, the head of the snake. That's the best way I can describe it. But yes, we as responsible Earth humans, we should be trying our own people. Absolutely. Yeah, whatever humans are responsible for their own actions, controlling, maiming, killing humans, absolutely. Yeah, no, you'll find no argument from me there.
Okay, well, I have a question.
Yeah. Okay.
As somebody who, I end up seeing UFO videos all the time on the YouTube, and I see different kinds of crafts. Do you know, is there a way to tell the reptilian crafts, and I guess maybe it's a moot point at this point because if they're gone, that's done, but is there a way to look at past events and be able to say, oh, well, that's a reptilian craft, or that's an Andromedan craft, or a galactic... my understanding is Galactic Federation has all kinds of different craft, but is there a particular kind of look or identifying factor to the reptilian crafts that people can know?
I have two answers. The first answer is, just last night, I was in your shoes. I was interviewing a woman by the name of Sanaa, who's the Earth representative for an interdimensional peacekeeping force called the Silver Legion. And actually, her knowledge of the kind of crafts and ships that the reptilians have used, including a class of ship called Dreadnought, armed to the teeth. There was a retaliatory attack on the part of the reptilians that came through a portal out in space, out in the backside of Jupiter, because they were pissed off that their last undersea base on Earth had been taken out. So there were 50 ships that were sent out. So I know that some of the classes of ships were dreadnoughts, again, armed to the teeth. And the people from the Silver Legion were able to take out 30 of them. They also captured 5. And if people are interested in hearing about that story, there's both a link on the Andromeda Council website as well as the Silver Legion website. Now, I want to get back to your question. Tim, I'm not able to look up in the sky and say, oh, that one's from the Andromeda Council, that one's from the Galactic Federation of Light, that one's from the people from Sirius. I have no way of doing that. Okay. I do know that craft generally, scout craft, people call them UFOs, but scout craft are generally round, disc in shape. and that's because of the nature of the anti-gravity magnetic systems, the flight systems that are used. The one that I traveled in back in 1993, that one was a round disc, about 35 to 40 feet in diameter.
Okay.
Yeah, what people would call UFO. That's as much as I know. You got it.
All right. Well, we've got some people who have been on hold for quite a bit here, so I'm gonna go up the timeline here, and let's take a question from area code 646.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Nelly, and I'm calling from New York. And I have a question for Tolec about the reptilians, and especially their hierarchy. Just to compare it to the human one, where it's heavily based on the amount of resources, primarily money. But since reptilians are above currency systems, so on what is their hierarchy based? If you would please elaborate on, describe it better.
I will tell you as much as I know. They are primarily a military caste system. They may have administrators, they may have engineers, they may have people that are pilots, they may have people that handle operations and the running of a base, but they're primarily a warrior caste system. As a matter of fact, 2 of the reptilian military officers that were captured and are up on the Andromeda Council biosphere, one was the equivalent of what we'd consider to be a 5-star general, and the other one was a 2-star general. So it's what I know, as much as I know, is pretty much what you've heard, that it is a military caste system. And the lines of power... the lines of power are drawn very clearly, believe me.
In a service to self-civilization, you're going to have a hierarchy like that. I'm more important than you. I am better than you. You serve me. And so that makes complete sense. Yeah,
as a matter of fact, as long as we're on this topic, there was a general that was taken out, sort of like above a 5-star. He was like one of their big, I don't know, I'm not a military guy, but he was really one of their big generals. Here we go. The guy's name was Brutus, of all things, and apparently he took his name because he liked the brutality of the Romans when they were around. Power, arrogant, and the people from the Civil Legion set a trap and they got him, and he's been taken out. So the good news is the guy's been taken out. The interesting news is there's this big scramble underneath. All the little lieutenants and the colonels, they're all kind of fighting for position to see who's going to be next to try and take the next step up the ladder. So it's for them it's all about power. And
they're not in love with the guy above them.
No, not at all. They may respect him because they have to, but they're certainly not in love with him.
Yeah, serving just long enough to step on the back of the next guy to get to where they want to be.
Right.
For them.
Right. Yeah, and some of those guys are quite happy that this guy's gone.
I'll bet.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Moving on. What's next? Yes.
Area code 713, you're on the air.
Hello, Tolec?
Yes, hi.
So, yes. The question I have is, one is, do you have a sense of the timeline of what you believe will be happening, let's just say in the next 18 months?
There's no way I can go that far out, other than globally what I've reviewed on the first page of the Andromeda Council website. But if you can be more specific, I'll tell you what I know.
Well, when do you envision that the people from the council will be having appearances? I know that it's not going to be in large cities. And
right. Well,
what will increase your chances of being able to meet them in person? So, yeah.
Sure. I can address this. This answer has 2 parts. The first answer is, as I touched on earlier, there are 3 people who will be the, if you will, advanced goodwill and liaison team. Ambassador Tonka Wene, Diplomat Maka Nahiwe, and Andromeda Council Vice Chairwoman Tanya Paike. Those three people will act as a goodwill and liaison team to travel around the globe, United States first, Canada second, and then a whole bunch of countries, informing people to let them know what to expect and relatively when regarding the people from the four different Andromeda Council races of Ventura, Tolec, Nicote, and Retol. So the three people, the Goodwill team, will come first as the advanced team to give everybody the heads up. Hey, listen, this is what's coming from our people. This is what you can expect to learn. I expect them to start traveling and meeting with people sometime this spring as we know it, based on Northern Hemisphere understanding of springtime. Don't try to pin me down exactly to when, because I don't know. I don't know, but I know that they're going to do it, and it's likely to happen this spring. Why? Because this last base has been taken out. It has been cleared out, cleaned out, shut down, and there is now no longer any large-scale risk of any large number of reptilians going after people, including the people from the Andromeda Council. So that's my complete answer on that topic.
Okay, moving on. We have one of our loyal listeners who just happens to be my lovely wife, Monica, who's listening in. She has a question for you, and so this is going to be one of the questions that comes from someone who's not as familiar with your work as a lot of the people who are called in the chat room. Okay. Monica, you had a question for Tolec? Hello? Well, maybe she decided...
Sorry, I had my phone muted.
Oh, there she is.
Okay. Hi, Monica. Hello.
Hello. I'm
nice
just curious because I know a lot of your work through my husband as of recent things that are happening, but I was just curious as I'm sitting here listening and watching the chat room, how you were selected to be part of this council.
Good question. It has a couple of answers. I'll take them one at a time. Okay, an illustration. And I've used this one before, but it's worth repeating. There are people all across this country who are having some level of contact. It is highly likely that if they are talking about people from Sirius, the Sirius star system, or from the Andromeda galaxy, or from Orion, it's highly likely that the person being visited, his or her original soul and spirit essence comes from that place. Highly, highly likely. Because they typically tend to visit people who they know. People that are from many times their own planets. So that's the lead up to the answer of my own involvement. From what I understand, my original the birth of my original soul as well as my spirit essence thousands of years ago is back on the planet Dakota in the Tegeta star system, which is located, as people would see it from here, in the Pleiades constellation. So they know me. If you will, I'm one of them from a spirit essence form. My original form, not the body that you would the body that you would see, but the core of who I am. I think the other answer is that I'm, as I said to Tim earlier, this is what you see, what you hear, what you hear is how I work. I was in the computer software industry for 20 plus years. Recently, a chief operating officer for a few firms, and there are certain skill sets that come natural to me. planning, organization, project management, and communications is one of them. And it's always been my job to, as I've either dealt with our clients or particular strategic alliance partners, to communicate in a as clear fashion as possible whatever's on the table, whatever we're learning, whatever the concepts are. I can take unusually complex issues, break them down, and have people be able to understand them. They can pretty much get it. That happens to be one of a compilation of my skill sets. I think they chose me for that reason as well. I kind of do it easily. So maybe that's one of the reasons also. That's the best answer I can give you, quite honestly.
That makes sense to me. Well, thanks for your call, hon.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right,
well, we've got 6 minutes, 45 seconds left. So let's take one more caller here. 678, area code 678. You're on the air.
Good evening, and thank you for taking my call. I'm in the healthcare field, and I believe Tolec at one point mentioned in one of his previous interviews about a transitory period with things culminating around January 14th, January of 2014, correct?
Yeah, this planet and this planet and all of the beings, all of the people, all life forms that are here would become fourth dimensional. That's correct. At least broadly, that's a good broad statement. Keep going. Yep.
So my concern is if we are, as other people have described, going from maybe the current carbon-based form that we are now into potentially a more crystalline-based, that our healthcare modalities that we're using now will probably not work because they're all based on us being more carbon. And I wanted to know if they have ever discussed anything with you along those lines, because that's a potential for people to continue to take medicines or vitamins or supplements or get surgeries or whatever that won't work because they're not carbon-based anymore. They're transitioning toward, what we will become January 2014.
Will their bodies even need it?
Well, if I understand the question, and I'm not sure I do, but if I understand the question, I think you're asking about, well, like Tim said, will our fourth dimensional bodies need third dimensional technology and or healthcare? And the answer is no. We will need fourth dimensional healing modalities of light, sound, vibration, frequencies. Those are all fourth dimensional healing frequencies. And
the interim, I'm talking about in the interim.
But I'm sorry to interrupt. People should continue to do whatever they're doing. I'm not asking people to do anything out of the norm. They just should keep living their lives, whatever they are.
But you haven't been advised that people should change?
Change what? This is the part of your question I don't understand.
The people that you're meeting with at the Andromeda Council?
The change. What he's asking is, what do you think that people might need to change?
Right.
Okay, as we transition toward January 2014, and our bodies are transitioning, things that we're using now should become less effective.
All right. I have a different answer, but I'll go back to my first answer, and my frustration is only that I don't think I'm getting the nuance of your question, but I'm going to do the best that I can in answering it. I would advocate that whatever Mary or Susan or Phil or Robert or James or anybody, Andy, whoever, any of the people, whatever each of you decides to do in your day-to-day Earth life, that's your right. That's your responsibility. If you want to stay the same, you can. If you want to become more aware and be more curious and evolve consciously, you can do that too. But the changeover, if we're talking about the actual changeover from three-dimensional life to fourth-dimensional life, I'm going to use a metaphor. In essence, you're going to go to bed one night, next morning you're going to wake up, bang, you're fourth-dimensional.
That answers the question for me that I've had for quite a long time. And,
there's not going to be a long... There's not going to be this long period of, I'm becoming. It's not going to happen that way. The actual moment of change will be like throwing the light switch.
Because matter changes densities in a quantized fashion. It doesn't just, you don't have water that's half water, half ice. You don't have, it's not water and then it's half steam, half water. Physical matter changes in a quantized fashion. It's one thing and then it snaps into the next density.
Right. People's awareness and their consciousness is growing and opening, and to some degree, some people are evolving because they choose to, because they're getting bathed with fourth dimensional energy. It's already started, but the moment of change will be a moment of change, like in the blink of an eye or throwing a light switch. You're third, next morning, bang, you're fourth. That's how it's going to happen. At least that's what they told me over and over again.
That's beautiful, and that's probably a pretty decent place for us to break and get ready to go here. Tolec, we got about a minute left, so I just want to say thank you so much for coming out and answering people's questions and telling us what's been going on and what's about to happen. And you give us good hope, buddy.
Oh, thank you. I'm like I said earlier, I'm just here to do the best job that I can. That's my job.
And you're doing it.
I'm just. That's all I'm trying to do is do the best job that I can and provide as accurate and clear answers as possible. And when I don't know something, I'll tell people that, and that's it's okay. It's all right because I don't have all the answers. It's good for people to do their own research, absolutely. But I'm happy to help. I'm absolutely happy to help.
Well, thank you. You bless us with your work. Check out Tolec at andromedacouncil.com. You can reach us at facebook.com/extraordinaryyear, one word. That's facebook.com/extraordinaryyear. Go like us. Thanks for listening to the show, everybody. It was a really good episode. I'm really happy Tolec could be with us. Thank you very much.
Tim, thank you. Take care.